Hey, Dan.
Hello. If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
Pardon?
Oh, nothing. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't. I was just saying if you were speaking, I couldn't hear you. But
Oh, no,
obviously,
no,
yeah.
no. I had said hello, but you might have missed it.
Okay, yeah, it didn't. That didn't register.
Okay.
Oh, what is this now? No, I don't want you to beep at me. Beep. Okay. So yeah, we can go through it in a little bit, but I took some of your text and I tried to integrate it into the README file, and I can present that work and
Okay.
stuff like that. So
For the notes.
oh yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to step away for a cup of tea. I'll be back shortly.
All righty.
Do we have a special section already set up for us?
Yeah, let me see.
I don't think so.
329. No, not yet. What is it? Oh,
When was the last? I can do that now. Let's
okay.
SCM BP guide. I'll just copy everything and create a new section up at the top here. Meetings. Yes. All right. And make things grayed out. Six. Hello. Okay, I set that up so we can, so we have a section up at the top of the working group notes doc for 2023 with BP guide 4.6. So mark yourself.
All right.
And we'll give it a couple more minutes, maybe. But it's a holiday week, so I don't know.
Oh, a
if
lot of
people
people.
be,
Yeah.
out or
Yeah, in Europe, especially.
yeah, you know, we love our holidays.
Bank holiday, bank holiday.
Bank holidays, this and holiday, that holiday, May Day. May Day is a funny one, and the rest of Europe has it off, but the UK doesn't have it off.
Oh,
Hey, Randall. Well, we could just get started and maybe we can have a short call or just to kind of establish where we're at, basically. So I was feeling like I was a little lost and a little stalled. And then I went back and I looked at our notes and I decided to just take a crack at coming up with a thing that might satisfy all the different concerns, right? So like there's the original source material from Legitify. There's the material, Christine, that you kind of put into this or contributed via this kind of Google Doc, right? Which is very specific to GitHub and also very specific to your operations. Well, it's not. But that's there. And then there's the kind of like organization that we came up with in the discussions about how to organize these things into different categories. And so I took the markdown thing and I committed it into a branch here, Torgo patch 1, and just to give a kind of flavor of what I think this could look like if we go this way, where so we have like developers would come to they're coming to us here. We're at the source code management best practices. I wonder what the source code management best practices has, and then they would come to this is wrong. No, okay. Oh, I've screwed this up. That's all right. Never mind. I was confused. Okay, having a brain problem. So anyway, they would come to here and they would come to SCM best practices, and here they would see the more like a document that would have an intro and then a set of recommendations, and they could choose to either view the set of recommendations as one list, which would be split between GitHub and GitLab using a visual cue of having an icon next to each one saying which it was applicable to, and then that icon being clickable. So you go to that and you're going to find the specific page that has the detail for that best practices, the detail behind it. Or you go back and you go to the same thing and look at sorry, there are only a few of these that are actually clickable because I've been doing it by hand. And that goes to the GitLab version of the same best practices with the remediation that's specific to GitLab, right? That way we could continue to have, so we continue to keep all of the best practices themselves in split up into separate files. And it struck me that that would also be a good way to make those best practices individually useful by keeping them as separate markdown files that are generated out of the Legitify data, because that way, like for instance, we were talking and we have a separate call set up with the scorecard folks to talk about how this date, when if scorecard starts to talk about remediation stuff, it could link to the specific file that is that is applicable from the source code management best practices as part of the output, basically. So, so that's another way for that data to be consumed, besides clicking through from one of these pages. And then the other thought that I had was, well, we can have this presentation of the and by the way, I've included some of the material that I've included in here is pulled from Christine's document. So that's where, if we need some intro material with some more general recommendations, that's coming through from Christine's document. I've reworded it to be genericized, so it's not talking about GitHub, but it's just talking about organizations. And then specific recommendations are the links through to the Legitify data. But if somebody wants to come in and they want, you know what, I don't care about your editorialization of this, I want to know what your recommendations are for GitHub, then, and this is just a sample list, like this would be everything actually, but I've just put this here as a indicator of what it could look like. We just have the list of best practices, and then here we can link through to the one that's specific to GitHub, and you go over to GitLab, you see all the ones that are applicable to only to GitLab, and then you click through and you see the GitLab specific recommendation. And then the other thing I did is I took some of the operations stuff that was coming out of your document, Christine, because we were speaking about that last week, or not last week, but the last time we had a call. And we talked about the need for an operations section that specifically addresses the needs of operators, or of, as it says here, OSPO or operations team responsible. But this is lifted directly from your document, so it talks a lot about GitHub, and probably we need to just figure out, either we genericize it or we split it up into GitHub operations section, GitLab operations section, or we just say this is only applicable to Git. I don't know. We need to talk about kind of editorially what we want to do there. So anyway, that's kind of my that was my brainwave.
That's a good brainwave. Very nice.
Wow.
Like that's a lot of work there. Thank you. Yeah, and I think even like the part that you said, just carrying on the theme that you've done with the GitHub and the GitLab, even for the operations, could do the same thing, like little icons and specific sections related to operations.
Yeah.
Just to carry on
we can revise, and this allows us by having them in separate things and separate files, we can revise the table of contents, or the different tables of contents, depending on how you want to look at the data separately from the actual recommendations or remediation steps that are coming directly out of Legitify. We don't have to worry about inlining all of that stuff. So anyway, that I feel like that might be a better approach, and really help us to, because then all that stuff from Legitify can be regenerated, as long as it keeps the same file names, right? And actually some of this material can be generated as well. What I was hoping that GNOME might be able to take this as a template and generate some of the lists, so that we don't have to generate, because the markdown for this is actually quite complex, especially when you include SVG icons. And you want to size them at a certain size. It doesn't look pretty. So I was like, how do you do this again? Google or DuckDuckGo, Markdown. How do you size SVGs? Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, thoughts?
Thank you, Dan. I think this looks great. I love this approach, and I love the fact that you were thinking about integrating with Scorecard. I think that's going to be a big win. Awesome ideas. Good work. good work to the team. But thank you for synthesizing this. I think
Yeah.
I feel this is a good direction to take it.
Yeah, I do. I do.
And I like the fact that we could, if there was another source code repository that somebody felt very strongly about, they could follow our model and snap it in very easily.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So then we just create a new directory. Sorry, I'm pointing to something. I'm not sharing my screen anymore, like a dork. Okay.
I saw it with my mind.
Did you?
You paint the
There,
picture with
right.
words.
So if we, if we wanted to, we just create a different new directory out of here.
Right.
And for get splooge or whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, and then create different iconography.
Mhm.
And a new kind of README page that would
So
allow
my
those
my
things.
only reservation is it looks like it took a lot of work to get it to this stage. What does the ongoing maintenance of this look like if there's new things we need to add or change?
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking that most of these things most of these lists, these bulleted lists, can be auto-generated, right?
Okay.
So if we take a look at the code here, take a look at the code. Do that. Yeah. So it's basically just this is the the heading, and then there's all of this gobbledygook to actually you have to actually insert the image using an HTML tag in order to size it correctly. But then with a with a link to the file, relative link, right? Because you want it to work no matter where it is.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff can actually be auto-generated. As long as there's data that Legitify have that tell it which things should appear in which sections. And I think we do have that. That is the data that was in that spreadsheet that GNOME produced, right?
Okay.
So as long as GNOME can take the data that they have, or I don't know how, if it configure it in a YAML file or something like that, because I haven't seen the actual script that's generating the markdown that for these that actually generates the markdown files out of the Legitify data. The actual all the actual best practices are in this huge YAML file, right? So at some point there's a script that GNOME has, or one of his colleagues has created, that takes that and splits it up into all these different markdown files. And I guess all I'm saying is that some of this can be auto-generated.
Okay.
Then we just maybe we need to when those things are auto-generated, we can either have one manual step of, okay, now that these lists have been auto-generated, we can insert them into the README file, or we could even do some kind of naughty templating thing where we say, okay, the README template has a little meta tag that says this is where the list goes, and then the markdown generator knows that and can replace it with the lists. But it doesn't need that was a factor on my mind. It shouldn't. It depends though on how often you'd need to regenerate the
Hopefully not often,
right. Yeah.
but I won't say never.
No, yeah, exactly. Right. And importantly, if you need to make a change to some element of the detail, like this page, right? You can just do that and regenerate all the best practices out of the YAML file, and it won't affect the readmes that are at the top level of this directory or this directory or that directory, right?
Mhm.
So you can, so that would be my preference, you know, that.
Yeah.
And then ideally, the script that generates all that stuff could actually be checked in to this repo, and all you
Yeah,
need to do
yeah.
is check out the repo or check out this directory, you know, run that script, and maybe it's, I don't know what it is, Python, something like that. Anyway, it would just have it do that.
Yeah, I
You
think,
could build it locally, I guess is my point.
yeah, I think having the script checked in would be really great, because if you're a particular company and maybe you want to have your own severity or whatever it is that you want, your own settings, you could
Mhm.
generate that and then have that for your team locally.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent work, everybody. And Dan, thanks for spending the time to bang on that. That looks nice. I'm very, very happy. I think this is going to be very useful.
Mhm.
Just noting that you like it. Right, so I guess some actions are, can we get the script checked into the directory?
Mhm.
You know, how do we best auto generate
Mhm.
the lists in the 3 README files, including stripping in the kind of more editorial info, and the operational or operations guide type info. And I think we kind of need to involve GNOME in that discussion.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, maybe, Christine, I was going to ask you if you would like, what
Take a stab at
take a
Same.
stab at actually like taking some of this material and bringing it over into this thing.
into this section. So yeah, so I'll look at that. So you took some material. Could you give me an example of like one step that might make sense? Is it more like just an introduction text? Or?
Yeah, so I took some this material. Oh God. Organizing repositories. No. Organizations. I took this,
that one.
right, and I kind of adapted it into this.
I got it.
And you know, just as a let's see how this works kind of thing.
Yeah, just an example of introductory test. Okay.
Yeah, because then that can and it struck me that but then I tried it on managing roles and access, and it didn't really
work. So
it didn't really work because it felt like I was restating just stuff that was showing up
already
in the list, right? So what I think it needs a little bit of editorial in terms of like adapting some of the material that's in your document into heading into intro sections of each subsection that you know, that would be appropriate and not restate, that doesn't restate these things, you know. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I see where you're going. I'll take a stab at that.
And what I could do is, so if you're happy with this, then I can like commit this, or I can make a pull request of this branch, and we can actually start working on it. Okay, so I'll make a pull request, and Crow maybe you know,
Get my
grand.
magic finger out and push the button.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so so next step, Dan, to make pull request.
So thinking about kind of holistically about this project, approximately how far along towards complete do you think we are? It feels like, just my observation, about 3/4 of the way done. We have some polishing. We'd like to get the scripts and some editorialization. Is that
Yeah,
kind of pretty accurate?
I would say so.
Yeah, I was thinking about 70%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about when would we like to start to make some noise about this? Like June? Do you think we'll be done by June?
I was, and that might tie into the next agenda topic I put in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry to skip ahead.
no, that's good. You want to talk about, right? Yeah, go ahead, Christine.
Yeah. So even before we started this collaboration, hi Randall. Even before we started this collaboration, I had to put in like a talk for Open Source Summit North America just to
Mhm.
get ahead of it, because I knew we were going to be working with GitHub management and it seemed like an interesting topic. So fortuitously, it seems like this collaboration formed up. And I think it might be like a great opportunity to definitely tie in that work and talk about what's been going there as well. So if it's
That
like an
is,
opportunity to make noise
you
in
got
some
30
sort,
days.
yeah.
You think
Yeah.
it'll be done by then?
I mean, I think we could. It
Or
depends,
done
right?
enough?
Because the problem that I have is with, and like theoretically,
GitLab.
yes, but
GitLab.
next week we're not a meeting,
Yeah.
and the week after that I'm going to actually be in Japan.
Ah.
So for some reason, and-
Hopefully a good one.
So, let me just stop sharing so we can talk to each other properly. So I think theoretically we could be ready. We could have something better for that, but I'm not going to be here for the week that we're scheduled to have a meeting. We could do a special meeting next week. I would be okay with that but it depends on if Noam is going to be here or not. I think that's
Yeah.
Maybe we can reach out to him on Slack and email and say, hey, we'd like to have a special call. Can you make it? And it doesn't have to be this time. You can reuse this Zoom link to hold the meeting, and all the plumbing's in place that it'll get recorded. So you could, if he wants to meet an hour before this time on a Tuesday, that's an option.
Okay.
But so if we're targeting the North America Summit, I will work with Jennifer. I'll tell Jennifer that we're probably going to have an announcement and maybe have a blog, start to put a blog together to talk about it. I think this is going to be a very useful work product. I think there's going to be a lot of value in this. So I would like to highlight all your work.
Yeah, there's the only other thing that I would put as a gotcha is that we're a lot more familiar with GitHub than we are with GitLab. So that could be the whole.
And they're on the board. I haven't seen them participate in our groups in a while. I can try to track down some folks from GitLab and maybe have them review.
Yes, that'd be very helpful.
Give me that action item. I'll see if I can track somebody down. I think their feedback will be important, because there could be, we're most familiar with GitHub. There might be nuances or words we're using incorrectly. We want to make sure we're accurately representing.
Yeah, and I think we can present something that not necessarily, like, it doesn't need to be 100% done in order to talk about it at.
Right. No. But I'm thinking about a blog and kind of an announcement and encouraging people to start using it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And there's some like nuances there. Like, for example, coming back to your point, Dan, that GitHub is now going to make multi-factor 2FA mandatory by the end of the year. Like, it's almost like that recommendation is like sort of moot at that point because you have
Yeah.
to. Yeah, but I guess you could still
We
leave
can,
it there.
we
but
can
that's just,
change
yeah,
it then, yeah, but,
yeah, you can.
or
change
we
it.
might want to even put some additional text in here saying, hey, by the way, you better do this because you're
Exactly.
gonna have to do this.
Exactly. Exactly. I had the same thing internally. I was like, there's a fight going on. I'm like, oh, it's not gonna matter in a little bit. Yeah, okay.
Well, and maybe like to that point, there's a
Mhm.
couple other efforts around the foundation that are talking about MFA. So maybe we reach back out to GitHub and Google to see if they're interested in doing another round of MFA giveaways. So we could kind of coordinate and maybe potentially get more tokens out or make more tokens available.
And maybe bring this up with some of the other repos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everybody's welcome. But this is kind of what we've got. So who's shown up so far? And if you had like Jeffrey, if you were aware of any other big repos or you had contacts there, pass them along. We'll reach out and invite them to kind of collaborate on this.
Yeah, it would be fun to try and make it a multi-repo thing.
Oh, I would love that. That's kind of our goal. That's because initially when Noam presented this to us, he was focused exclusively on GitHub. And we're like, well, that's great, but there's
Right.
other angles to this.
There's the other 60% of the repositories out there that need to get on the bandwagon.
Exactly.
Not everyone follows the GitHub GitHub parade. Not that we don't love GitHub, but
right.
Parade.
And that's why we're trying to speak to universal principles as opposed to specific features within a tool.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll take the AI to track somebody down from the GitLabs and see if we can get their more direct collaboration. And I'll start a blog and open it up to everybody here if you want to start chewing on it. And we'll kind of hold that in our back pocket. That won't be a driver. But if it's done and ready, we will tell Jennifer and get it out during that week. Otherwise, if it goes out afterwards, that's fine.
Okay, sounds good.
But the OpenSSF will feel important if they have things to like press releases to say.
Okay.
Oh,
PR. Nice.
But enough of me talking about me. Why don't you all talk about me for a while?
all right.
So Christine, what do you think that, sorry. So yes, you're gonna talk about this. Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna, and initially I was gonna talk about it from like the F5 point of view, but this like gels really nicely that I can bring in the work that we've been doing. So it just even makes the talk even better.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I reached out to Noam on Slack, and then hopefully we can meet next week and progress. But I think that's it. Unless,
Okay. So I'll aim to try to get a patch or a pull request in with the additions based on what we talked about.
great. And if you want to ping me for a review or whatever, I mean, I think I have. Can I commit things into this repo? I think I can.
I think.
Yeah. Okay.
If not, let me know and I can get that fixed.
Or.
But I think you're part of the magic group.
Magic.
Yeah. So I just didn't want to commit my own thing because that's bad etiquette.
No. I
that's
totally get that.
it's already violating the.
Totally get that. Yeah, you're listed as a collaborator, Dan, so you should have committed.
Right. Okay, yeah. So ping me, Christine, and I'm happy.
And
to
so
reach
is
out.
Christine.
Well, there you
Okay.
go. Yeah, and
Okay.
we can do that with that, or we can invoke you if we need to. Crow.
Okay. Thank you.
But excellent work, everybody. I'm so very happy about this.
Cool. And then we can have this discussion that we're going to have with the scorecard people. I forget when that's going to be. It's like in the evening for me, but I'm happy to be on it for that one particular time. I think it's next week. Is that right? Or am I wrong? Is it tonight?
And we can also, you know,
Oh, yes.
ping Wheeler. Is there any opportunity to get this in his best practices badges? Or maybe we make a new badge.
Yes.
What would the badge be?
Bestest configuration in your source code.
SCM
Get a gold star.
SCM Gold Star Sparkle version.
Yeah, I mean, if we thought there was value in that, we could potentially, you know, give it a digital badge. Hey, your scorecards looked at you. You got an A+, and bloop, you get a SCM
Right.
badge.
Plays
Feel
well with others.
circular.
Plays well with others.
Yeah.
And just because you're here, Rob, I marked you as here in the
Thank you.
agenda.
Appreciate that.
There's a scorecards meeting today. I don't know if that's the one that you said you're.
No,
doing it as part of the
it's
regular
happening on the
meeting?
13th. There's a
Oh, it's not-
special
okay.
scorecard best practices working group sync on the 13th at well, I don't know when. What it's at 9. No. It's at that. It's at 7:05 p.m. for me on the 13th.
2-ish
Okay.
Eastern.
Oh, okay. Is it a open invitation? I don't know if I had it.
I think so. It was set up by Abhishek.
Okay.
But I can add you,
Okay.
maybe.
I may or may not be able to go. I'm picking my mother-in-law up for the airport around that time.
That sounds like a made up excuse more than a real.
Because I would use that as an excuse. That's something awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I can ping Abhishek if
okay.
If mother-in-law is not happy, ain't nobody happy.
Right.
All right.
Dan, if you could add me too, that would be great. I apologize. I've got to jump.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should call it there then. In that
All right.
case. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Again, really
Thank you.
appreciate all the work, Dan and Christine. Great.
Take care.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
See you. Ciao.